everybody, Corrine here. It's been about 1.5 years, right? 2 years? I think it's probably been even longer since I posted a yoga tip for sciatica. So, life happens, and, I broke my foot, my sister died, and I got depressed, and then COVID hit. So here we are. So we're going to start all over with the yoga tip for sciatica, because life tends to happen, and when you have to sit and really, really have to sit for hours, especially when we're doing Zoom and stuff, I find that moving and doing my workout is great. I feel so much better, especially if I'm doing Pilates. But once I have to sit down and drive somewhere, or sit down for a long period of time, do some homework or some studying or work or whatever on the computer, and I go to stand up, I'm in pain, or I start getting that shooting sensation down that left leg. So it is still trails from a car accident, because I do have some bulging discs in the lower back and upper neck. So, we all have something, right? Injuries and what have you. So the only thing that I can tell you is to keep moving them and don't stop. The pain when you first start to move something is going to be absolutely insanely, incredibly painful. But then the muscles start to remember, because, think about it, they haven't been used, and so they're going to be hurting and they're going to be crying. They're going to be like, what the heck are you doing? So, that being said, I found a couple more tips that really helped me during this time for my sciatica and for my hips and glutes and piriformis and the whole 9 yards. I also got plantar fascia in the left leg, which is also where I have my sciatica and that numbing sensation. So this whole leg went berserko when that car hit me. I was sideswiped on the left side, so that was kind of crazy. So anyway, so those are still the repercussions of that. And so that being said, this is what I found that really works. And feel free, by the way, to like and subscribe and to share my videos. Also, feel free to fast forward through all this junk, because if you watch it a couple times just to remember what it is I'm doing, just fast forward through all the stuff that I'm saying, unless you need to remember a few pointers, and get to the workout. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I keep saying, you know what I'm saying. So that's exactly what I shouldn't be saying anymore. Okay, so my last video, I introduced the yoga block to you. This is a cork one, so as you can tell, it's really heavy. So we did put it under that low sacrum, and we kind of stretched that out. But now what I discovered is sometimes my hips really tend to lock and my sciatica kicks in. So I'm going to scoot up just a smidge, so I'm going to cut my head off. But I'll bring my feet right underneath my knees. I don't see if you can see my heels underneath those knees. And then my spine is nice and long, and my knees are in line with my shoulders. So I'm going to press my arms down, because you really want to start using your upper body to help engage and keep those abdominals going and that low back protected. So I'm going to do what's called pelvic tilts, and I don't know if you can see my body, my beautiful body, my bikini body. Okay, so here I am, and then I'm just going to tilt it forward and kind of just keep that still on the ground, and then I'm going to rock it the other direction. And then again. Yeah, so these are called pelvic tilts, and I really like these because as I press forward onto those those glutes, I can really press my sacrum into the ground and get a nice little arch stretch there. And then as I use that pelvic floor to engage and press it back up, so the pelvic floor comes up higher than those hips, it actually gets a nice low back stretch and starts to release that. And then your body's like, oh gosh, it's such relief. It relieves a lot of tension, and then the body's like so happy. So you do those a couple of times, and then you bring it to center, and keeping the knees centered, you just want to lift the hips, alternating like a boat. So I'm exaggerating the movement so you can see what my hip bone should be doing. But if you look, it's just really a small movement, because I just want to lift them without moving the knees, because I want to just use this part of my hips. I want to use those muscles where they're attached to the bones and kind of get that stretch, because those are the areas that are so tight, those connecting areas. And you go to a massage therapist, they can't really dig up in there to get those connection areas. So that's always a good thing. And if it feels good to move like a little bit more, whatever you can, I'm not saying not to, but just listen to your body and listen to what feels good. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. All right, so now I'm going to start by tilting up and doing a little bridge and pressing up and utilizing my booty, my quads, my hamstrings, pressing my feet into the ground and lifting those hips. Now watch the knees. They don't flare out like this. You have to have some control. And then I'm going to C-curve it, tilt it back down, roll back down, and release. Take a breath. And then exhale. Now, I'm not going to lie, these things are super hard, the first couple of ones you do. And if you could just tell yourself, I'm going to try to do 1 or 2 a day, along with those pelvic tilts and pelvic curls and even clocks, where it's like little circles that you can do, it's really helps to loosen that whole pelvic floor and those abdominals. So I just like to do a couple because it really kicks in everything in your body in a short period of time. And then if you want, you can bring those knees in the chest and just rock it out. You know what I mean? A lot of people have a hard time bringing their knees into their chest or even holding their legs in the tabletop. I know I did when my belly was a lot bigger than it is now. So if that's the case, remember you have a block. You can put them under your feet when you're doing stuff, and it helps not keep those feet, so far to the ground. There's a lot of ways you can stack that block, and especially if you have 2 of them, okay? It helps. Right now I just got 1. All right. So, we're going to start off with really getting into the groove. This is the juicy stuff. So these, my friends, are lacrosse balls. They came 1 blue and 1 red. They have a little give in them, but they're pretty firm, okay? So I'm going to use these right under, and warning, explicit language may occur. Just saying. 1 in this right to the right of my sacrum, right where that connection is and that glute and that sciatica, right there. And I'm going to roll over. And I'm going to stick the other one down in there. And yeah, I'm going to find that spot, and usually when you find that spot and it really is like super tight, it's like, oh my God. You just have to really focus on breathing, because if you hold your breath, your pain's going to really, really, it's going to become more pain. It emphasizes everything, especially when you hold your breath. Okay, so I found a spot on the right. I kind of leaned my legs over to the right. So I'm just a little bit outside of that sacrum area on each glute cheek. And I'm in that connection area, and that's usually where it's super tight for me. So this is something that you really have to allow your body to help you find your comfort zone. Like I said, some of this stuff is super painful. You can't breathe. And some of it's like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about. I can totally roll this out. This is great. Whichever spectrum you're on, just make sure you're breathing and you're enjoying it, okay? And if you're not enjoying it because it's painful, you will someday. Okay. I hope my feet aren't that dirty. Walking around outside. All right, so that is another thing you can do when you do find a spot and you roll on it. You can move your leg around. This took me some time to get to, I'm not going to lie. So sometimes I'll do some leg circles, or I'll do like a bicycle, bend it in and straighten it out. And I can hear my hip joints and my fascia and my ligaments all adjusting. All right, so I'm going to move these little bad boys up just a smidge, right where those, below those hip bones, yeah. And then I'm just going to rock side to side. And again, oh, OMG, OMG, OMG. All right, this one's super tight, and it's like a super rock, and right away, as soon as I got on it, my muscles starting to twinge and tighten and dance, and my whole body is not letting go. So I'm going to hold on to my dresser, and I'm going to breathe. And I'm just going to let my body melt over that ball. It's not completely relaxed, but it's a lot more relaxed than when we first started. And that's the kind of thing you want to do, is really focus on the breath. Think about when you go to the dentist and they're about to give you one of those shots which really freak me out. They take a deep breath, and don't, breathe out and hold your breath. You know what I'm saying? Don't hold your breath. All right, I'm going to come out of this. Ooh la la. And I'm going to go on to the other side. Ah! I'm going to stay right here. All right, so I found another sweet spot as I'm coming out. So sometimes those little lumps like to move around. So now I'm going to try to move my leg. Oh, sure I am. I'm just going to hang out right here because that's pretty much what it wants. So I would really love to do this in a speedier kind of way. But how would you really see how this works if I don't really do it the right way and allow you to see how the breathing is really connected to the body and really helps to release. All right, so I think now it's going to let me go. Yay! And, sometimes your body has a mind of its own, let me tell you. All right, so the left side is fine. I'm not feeling anything in particular, but I am going to lean on that side because I do feel some tension. I think it was probably because I was leaning over on the right side so much. So I'm just going to take a couple deep breaths. It's really important on the exhale that you just release and let your body just melt over that ball. And again, if you find a spot where you can, I think I can move my leg, and as you move your leg, you find another spot like I just did and you can't move it anymore. Stay there and breathe. I have to tell you, I gained so much weight in this COVID and stuff. Oh, nice and easy come back. That my sciatica is really hurting too, so that doesn't help at all, by the way. All right, so I'm going to just inch it up or half inch it up or whatever feels good. I'm going to be right on each side of that sacrum, right in that little curve area. And I'm just going to roll around and see what's happening, make sure there's no surprises, and breathing. It's really important not to really just breathe with the belly, but the whole torso, filling it up from the pelvic floor all the way up to the collarbone and really filling the body up. It really lets the body know that, oh God, this is a good thing. I'm not really torturing you. So I found a really sweet spot higher up on that left side. Where the right side it was down and it was deeper inside, so layers and layers of muscles, tendons and ligaments, remember? So sometimes the outer bigger muscles are really holding on, so when you do some pressure and you start to move that hip or that leg, you may have to take a few deep breaths like that. Oh, Lord have mercy. Whew. In order for those layers to start to release and get down into that crevice area, that's really the culprit, that connection base. Yeah. Oh, goodness sakes. All right. I'm going to inch it up a little more so I'm right at the base of those hips, right where those pressure points meet. And a lot of that toxicity lays there. And you'll see when you go to a lot of massage therapists, when they're pressing down on your back, they get to those hip and they kind of just rub it around in those circles right there. Yeah, that's what that is. So you just kind of want to rub it around and, wiggle it out. And again, all about the breathing. Okay, so once we start moving up along the spine, stay off your spinal cord. So what I mean by that is, I'll sit up so you can see. All right, spinal cord runs down the middle. This should run all the way alongside the spine, outside on each side of your spinal cord, okay? because you could do some serious damage. So, and you know, don't just drop on these balls. Make sure you're set correctly, okay? Get back in here. Now I'm going to go just above that left hip and then just above that right on each side of my spinal cord. And this is a tender spot for me because this is also where I have a bulging disc. I have one down in the S1 and S5, C2 and C3. I forget all these numbers, okay? So don't be surprised. Like right now I'm beginning to really start to perspire. The breathing is deep. I'm releasing a lot of toxicity. So holding your breath, you're going to keep those toxins in, all those poisonous hormones that we have, cortisol, those stress hormones. So you really want to make sure that you're breathing so that you can allow the serotonin and the dopamine to kick in and all the good hormones to start releasing the body. Okay? All the toxins out. All right, so that's all I can handle in that spot. I'm going to roll it up about 1 inch to 2, and I'm right behind those kidneys. Okay? Just below my rib cage. Not much happening here. So thank goodness I'm pretty loose, so I can like sway those legs because for me that feels good. It may not feel good for you. I don't know. Now again, if you want to feel a little more into the low back because that's where the tightness is for you along the waist, then what you can do is you can plant those feet, again like we did earlier, and then lift those hips up. And that puts a little bit more weight into those balls. And then I'm going to move it up. Inch. I'm going to be right under that bra-bro line right there. So you just hang out right there. See, I think that's your 3rd and 4th rib. Well, I don't know if we start counting. Yeah, I guess it goes all around. I did take anatomy. All right, and again, you can roll up or you can stay down, whatever feels good for you. So I'm going to take a couple more breaths because I can start feeling, this is where I hold all my tension is in my low back and in my shoulders and a lot in my thoracic because I have that kyphosis. So it really has a tendency, it actually was a lot bigger before I started yoga. So doing yoga, I'm running right under my shoulder blades on each side of my spine, and right where my thoracic is really super tight. So you can see my whole body started to tense back up. My breath is starting to become short and shallow. And I'm almost in a panic, fight or flight state. So I really have to focus on the breath. I'm going to start to move these up. I don't know if you noticed how my body tension started to release on that 3rd exhale. Oh, I'm getting right into those scapulas now. So this for me is like, I like people with their elbows digging into my spine because, into my shoulders because like I said, I hold a lot of tension. Woo, Lord. Did a lot of sitting today, leaning forward, rounding that upper back, so it's super not happy with me right now. It almost feels like a little bit of pinching, so I'm going to kind of move it out a little bit because that didn't feel like I wanted to enjoy that very much, and I found that sweet spot. So sometimes you'll find that spot like, oh my God, that's pinching me. So maybe you're on that nerve connection and you're a little too close to the spine, or that muscle is super, super not wanting you to be on it. So you just kind of do a little bit of adjustment. And you might find that, if I move over to the right, that's really where I need to let the body go. And that nerve connection was just being pinched because the muscle was so tight on that one side. So You know, the body it plays. If it hurts on the right side, it's probably tight on the left. If it hurts, if it's tight on the left, it hurts on the right. It's crazy. So you just got to make sure that, just listen to your body. Start to breathe. Start to learn who your body is. And, it has been with me for a while. I am 58. So now this is how I adjust my scapula, my shoulders. I just kind of roll it on down. And the other suggestion I have for you is to get like a tube sock, cruise sock, and you can throw those balls in and you can stand against the wall and hold them over your shoulder so that they hang down along your back, and then you can press up against the the balls and the wall. Balls in the wall, kids. Balls in the wall. Okay, sorry. I'm in pain. That's what I said. I was gonna do some. So my shoulder blades are super sore. I did some arm work, so I'm just gonna release the ways that I know work for me. Now I'm not popping my rib cage. I'm still keeping my abdominals engaged. And breathing. Now I'm going to move my feet up a little bit because I'm going to lift those hips. And I need a little more pressure into those shoulder blades to release. And I'm going to roll it down. Oh, yeah. All right, so I'm going to bring these bad boys right. Oops, where'd that one go? Too far. So, at my trapezes. I don't know why they call these trapezes, because they do not spring back at all. You think I'm going to edit this, but I'm not! Woo! Aren't you glad I don't have my earphones on with the microphone screaming in your ear? Yes. So if you sleep on the wrong side sometimes, and wrong neck, and your neck's all tweaked, this is also a good thing to do. And again, if it's, that right arm is just killing me. All right. I think I can breathe now. Whew. Lordy. All right. Now, if you feel brave enough, don't do this if it's not in your comfort zone. I like to open up my arms and dig those right into those shoulder blade areas, my traps, in between those deltoids. Oh, gosh. So any little movement that you think is like, oh my lordy, this feels so good. Like this. I know it looks silly, but it could be something slow. Like here. Look at this weird form where my arms are, but oh my gosh. Because I sat there and I breathed nice and deep. My arms can let go. They were not falling down like that earlier, which I think is really crazy. All right, so I'm going to get this bad boy right at that trap. So if I scream again, I apologize. I'm going to bring my feet in a little bit more because I feel like, no, I don't love torture, but I love to get release from my muscles. Muscle pain at 58 and tension is not a good thing. I would rather release it on my own terms than have people stabbing me with a bunch of things to release it. So inhale and exhale. I'm going to press those hips up, roll up. As I lift my back of my rib cage up, my shoulders are digging into those balls, and I'm breathing. The higher your hips go. Now, you have to be careful here, too, because honestly, I'm going to come down. And I'll tell you why I'm mentioning this, because I didn't have my foot placement right on my left foot, and as I started to press up a little higher, I felt my whole leg kick in. So remember, I'm pressing into my shoulders here, releasing tension, okay? So it's all connected up in here too, just before you get to the brain, and it shoots down to the legs and out through the arms. So Be very careful if you feel like, oh, that doesn't feel good or whatever, come back down. If it does feel good, then, just make sure you're breathing. All right, I'm going to roll them out towards my outer arm a little bit. You don't have to do too much here unless you really need to release. And again, you can lift those hips up. I can't. This is about all I could do. I'm feeling some tingling in my fingers, my middle finger and my thumb especially. So I know that there's some pressure there that needs to be released, either those muscles and tendons. And see how my arms are falling out? It just takes a minute for those muscles to just let go and relax. And you do have to be careful because I have fallen asleep by the time I get up here. So, here they are. I'm done pretty much with my shoulders because I'm pretty relaxed now. A couple more things to do. I do get a little toxic in head pressure, so I like to roll these around my temples and breathing. Now I found a couple sweet spots that really, really hurt as I roll over them, so of course I have to stay on them and breathe and let that go. If you suffer from TMJ and you always have a tight jaw, you're not grinding your teeth. My brother did that. I do that too sometimes. This is also really good for that. You're just rolling the balls down all along the cheek and the jaw. And, it's just a really good massage too to release those muscles of tension. And you don't have to press very hard. I'm not digging into my face. Okay? I'm just rolling them around. These balls have their own variation of pressure, let me just say. All right. So now I'm going to come back up to my temple. Rub that out a few more times. Onto the forehead along the eyes. And I'm going to go side to side and just massage over those eyebrows to each temple. OMG. It takes more muscles to make a frown than it does to make a smile. So if you're feeling a lot of tenderness like I am, maybe it's because we've not been smiling more than we should. I'm going to outline my forehead, which is quite massive, I know. And up and down with these massaging. And then now I'm going to go alongside the temple towards the back of my head. And you'll notice that it's really tender in some spots along that cabeza of yours. So, breathe as you let go, okay? Breathe as you let go, yeah. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Oh. Also, a little reminder, you might feel a little lightheaded, especially doing it around the face and temples. You might get some sinus drainage. I'm starting to feel like post-nasal drip because things are moving because I started to let things go. So I'm going to come and bring these right to the base of my nodules in the back of my head, and I'm going to hold them there because they like to roll out. And basically, I'm just going to set the back of those little nodules at the back on top of those balls and just hang out there. Because they're super tender. And I thought I was going to be able to move, but apparently they are a lot more tender than I anticipated. Alright, so there's a couple of things you can do here. You can look to the right. Come back to center softly and gently and look over to the left. Now, mind you, this is really small movements. I'm not trying to look all the way to the right. I'm just slowly rocking back and forth. Just trying to get what my mother would call bolas, little round balls, out of from underneath your skin where the muscles are. Alright, so once you find those sweet spots, again, you can bring those feet in. You can lift up and press into that if you want. I'm going to move these up just a little higher. Oh, yeah, that's my sweet spot. I'm going to imagine that there's a quarter on the back of my head in between those two balls. And I'm going to make a circle around it with the back of my head ever so softly. Slowing down in those areas that are soft and hurt so bad. And if it feels good, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm on this spot, I can't move. Don't move. Breathe. Breathe it all out until you finally feels like, okay, I can move. Then come back. You might find another spot, okay? So don't deprive yourself. All right, so nice and easy. We went one direction, now we're going to go the other direction with those circles. And this time try to go a little bigger so you can cover that whole outside circle area that you were making earlier. Oh, then you can get higher on that head. Ah! Like I said, you might get a little lightheaded. If that's the case, just breathe, release, and stop what you're doing if you need to and come back in when you can. Alright, that is it for me, children. Low back pain, sciatica, headache, oh gosh, you name it, that's the medicine for a lot of that stuff. So, I may have to take a nap now. So you can see they are called kibas, I believe. Let's see if you can read that. Where is it? Can you see it on this one? Don't know, but that's what it says. Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. So they, like I said, they come in blue and red. So thank you so much for allowing me to bring you part 2. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and hopefully you like my video and you'll share it. Yeah, send me some suggestions if you guys have any suggestions. An FYI, by the way, so the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because right now I'm feeling the toxicity has gone straight to my feet. So I'm going to do part 3 really quick while we're still here before I say goodbye. So I'm going to stand over here by my dresser and take my little handy dandy tools. And I'm going to use my little block here because sometimes it likes to escape. So, because I'm feeling that toxicity come down to my feet, you can push this against the wall, a block, whatever feels good. But I'm going to bend each toe over over that ball. And stretch them, okay? And notice I'm stretching them where I'm bringing the heel and I'm really stretching those toes out. Now I'm going to move it away and I'm just going to press the ball of the foot on there and I'm going to stand. Now this may definitely not be your thing, but you're going to be like, oh no. You can stand off and just roll side to side, okay? Just really want to release all that pressure. And very important after you're done with all of this, because we're doing some deep fascia release, drink a lot of water, maybe some lemon and some mint in the water is really good. Cucumber water is good. I love cucumber water. So from the big toe to the heel, from the second toe to the heel, I'm going to roll back and forth until I do each toe twice. Oh my goodness. I'm already feeling so much better. And then I roll it back twice to each toe. And it's funny, since I've been doing this and doing a lot of stuff with the Pilates reformer machine. And again, if you find a spot, stop and breathe. So it's been really helping with my plantar fascia, and this has really, really been helpful for it. Painful, but helpful. So now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to step on the ball with the heel, but you see I have this hand here supporting myself, and this foot is still supporting me, so I'm not like on that foot. So once I do that and I straighten, okay, you can come back, let that ball roll all the way to the front, straighten that leg, and now you're going to get a nice calf and tendon stretch all the way up that low back, okay? That's really a good stretch, and it really releases the top muscles of your foot, which is very important because we're just rubbing out the bottom. So once you splay the foot on top of the ball like that, it really opens up the top of the muscles. And then you can just, wiggle it out and then work out the other one. I don't know why I have to switch balls, but there it is. All right, we'll use the blue one, and we're going to stretch each toe. And again, breathing. And remember, if something hurts, like, oh, this one. I've broken 3 toes on this foot, so it really is painful to stretch the side. But once I do, it's amazing how it releases my low back. I can already feel it on this right side of my hip. It's crazy to me, but everything's connected. Everything's connected. So there's no way you're going to get out of, press it on your feet and not have it affect your hips or low back somehow. All right, I'm going to do the ball of that foot. Roll it out. Maybe give it a little press. See how it feels. And then I'm going to bring back a little bit so I can roll from toe. Ooh, do you hear that pop to heel? And then back and forth to each toe. Oh, this foot is really tender. So, this is also the one that I broke. So, when I started doing this, it was such a relief because it was really helping to articulate the muscles in the foot and release some of the tension I had. So, I'm really getting right into the base where the heel meets the arch of the foot, and there's a lot of tension there. It's also where you have a lot of intestinal issues that can flare up. So that's really good to work out. And then I'm just going to rub my heel out. Now come back here and get that little tendon stretch. Oh. Ooh. So again, if you have your block, you can go a little further. Kitchen counter stretches don't work for me. I have really super tight calves. It's really, really horrifying how tight they are. So, all right, that was your last little tidbit for this little exercise. So thank you so much for being patient, and have a blessed day. I hope this helped you. Bye. Till next time.